That's awesome.
All right, I think we're going live. Okay. I'm going to check on YouTube now. All right, guys. If anybody is getting in, we're getting ready to go live with Chris. And when the countdown's done, we'll start the show up. But until then, if anybody can hear us, let us know in the chat. And we're available in the chat. But we'll just kind of, wait until the timer runs down.
Looks like we already have some people in.
Yeah, it looks like some people are jumping in. Okay, I think we are live.
Yes.
Looks like it. Oh, we hear us. Good. Okay. Hello, Junior. From Michigan, right?
Rock the Watch is here.
All right. Getting a pretty good group coming in.
I like the Lunar Pilot countdown timer.
Yeah, thought that'd be a good one for to make a countdown with.
I wonder, did that watch make either of our lists?
Yeah, we'll see.
Because that could be had for, depending on where you're buying it, for a pretty good price.
Yeah, I think I picked mine up for around 360.
Yeah, I think I paid around 360, but they've actually come down in price.
Yeah,
On
I
like
think they have
eBay
gone
and
down
stuff
a little
like
bit.
that.
What time's in Japan? It's about 9:30 in the morning over here. Reeser. And Chris is over in New York.
Yes, sir. 7:30 in New York.
Okay. All right. Looks like we're about to start. Okay. Let me get All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Just the Watch. My name's Dave, and we're going to be doing a live show today. I actually have a special guest with me. I got Chris from WatchChris, and let's get him in here. How about this way? This looks better. Yeah, so Chris is here, and we're going to be doing a kind of an overview of two different 5-watch collections. Each of us are going to be showing one, and the rules for this are the collection, the total value of the collection has to be under $1,000, right? Is that what we agreed on here?
Yes, under $1,000, 5-watch collection. So
Okay.
essentially all affordable watches.
Right. And we've said it's okay to do used, vintage, whatever you can find. We'll try and build a collection. I have not really gotten into the vintage side at all yet, so I'm curious if Chris has thrown any of those in, because I'd love to see what you can get in that area if you're building an affordable collection like this. But I thought this would be fun. And yeah, it's actually Chris's idea though, so he pitched it, and yeah, I think it's gonna be cool. So we're going to run through that first, and then afterwards, I'm going to do a little bit of an interview with Chris, in case any of you guys don't know him. It's actually my first time talking with him live, so I'm getting to know him a little bit too. I've actually been watching his channel for a long time, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. Yeah, and then after that, I think the next topic we'll cover is we'll talk a little bit about just how YouTube has affected our collections. And we're going to try and run this for about an hour. So try and wrap this up in about an hour from now. And if we have time at the end, we'll take questions and answers and just kind of talk around for a little bit. But before we jump into that, I need to make one quick announcement. So we had a giveaway for the Artem sailcloth straps. I haven't had time to do an announcement video, so I'm just going to announce it here. And I have pinned the comment over on the video. So Louis Pontes is the winner of the giveaway. So you have just won an Artem strap. You have 2 weeks to get in touch with me. And if you don't get in touch with them by then, I'll pick a different winner. But yeah, I've left you a comment on your original comment. You can go there and check it out. It's been pinned, and that'll tell you how you can win. He said that he wants to pair it up with his Aviate P51 Mustang Command Pilot is the watch that he said that he would put his Artem sailcloth strap on. So let's get out of the way. But yeah, with that, why don't I just have Chris kind of introduce yourself briefly a little bit, tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into the collections.
What's up, guys? It's WatchChris. How's it going? I'm a watch collector, as most of you are, I would expect. I collect affordable watches. I also collect not affordable watches. So I've been collecting watches my entire life. Basically, I'm 25 years deep in the watch collecting game, I guess. I love watches, everything about watches. So my channel is about that. So I just review watches. I do news videos where I give you news and details about new releases. And I also review watches, unbox watches. I do, op-ed videos and things like that, just talking about my passion, and that's watches. So, yep, that's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think this is going to be fun. So the way we're going to run this, Chris is going to go ahead and give us his 5-watch collection first, and we'll kind of talk through that and see what he comes up with. And then after that, we'll switch places, and I'll show you guys what I came up with. So, Chris, what's your first watch?
So I have what I tried to do with this collection is I tried to balance it between brands that I think are respected, have somewhat of a history, and then brands that are kind of new, micro brands, I guess you would call them, that are sort of new to the watch game. And then I also tried to pick out some watches that will fit certain bills, like a dress watch, a chronograph, a dive watch, your everyday watch, things like that. So I thought it was important that you kind of, with the 5-watch collection, if you're going to spend $1,000, maybe you want to hit a lot of those important slots of a collection that you would want to, fill, right? So I started out with the Timex MK1. This was the mechanical 36 millimeter. This was actually a recent release. It came out about, I think, 3 or 4 months ago. It was an olive color dial, an olive strap, and it was like a remake of their camper watch from the 80s, if you guys are familiar. It has a seagull movement. It is hand wound. It is 36 millimeters, so it's the smallest watch in this 5-watch collection that I have. And it retails for about $185, but you can get those pretty discounted. So you can get them, sometimes you can get them 15% off, 10% off, but I've actually seen them discounted even more than that. But a very cool watch, a very good looking watch, and very military inspired. So that would be my first sort of tick on the box. And a lot of the watches that I choose just for my own collection have military and dive inspiration because that's what I like. But this is more of a field watch, right?
Okay. Cool.
So
Now, I think so. I haven't heard that. I remember seeing that come. I didn't realize it was a hand wound mechanical. Is that now, was the original Marlin was also hand wound? Not the original, but the first
the
reissue Marlin that they did was it
yeah,
the same movement that was in that one?
same movement, same seagull
Okay.
movement. Yeah, not a
Same sequence.
popular movement,
Yeah.
but it's a good movement. I mean,
Yeah.
people, are on the fence about that movement, but it's a pretty good movement. It's reliable, and they've been using it in the Marlin for years now, and it's a mechanical movement for like somewhere around $150,
Yeah.
depending on how cheap you can get it, and it's from Timex. There's a little bit of history behind the brand. There's some cachet to that, I think, but
Yeah.
not too much. But
That's cool. Now, is this something you would wear as kind of like an everyday piece, just sort of
yeah,
knocking
so
around?
this would be something that I would wear probably as an everyday piece. It could also sort of, if you change the strap, because it comes on an olive sort of canvas strap.
Hmm.
So if you change the strap to maybe a leather strap, that could be your dress watch. Because I really don't
Okay.
have a dress watch in my collection. I don't really collect many dress watches. I have a few, but I think that this could sort of be your everyday slash dress watch. And I have another watch that could be sort of an everyday watch as well.
Cool. Now, one thing I was wondering is, so Timex, with theirs, they're starting to do more and more mechanical movements now. Do they offer? Do you know if they offer any like servicing on mechanical movements if they need to have that done, or if it's just kind of they'll just replace it if it's under warranty, or
I'm sure that they just replace it if it's under warranty because the seagull movements
right?
in these are, and then they're using Miyota movements in their automatics. So they're using sometimes they're using seagull automatics as well. But most of like the Q Timex, not the Q Timex, the M79 releases, those are using Miyota 8 series
Hmm.
movements. So those are probably not being serviced. They're probably
Yeah.
tossing them out and then
Yeah.
giving you a new movement.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would probably make more sense. Yeah, because that's the thing that one of the big hesitations I always have with buying watches with Chinese movements is that little bit of apprehension about, well, how long is it going to last, or if it does break, I just throw the watch away. And a lot of these AliExpress brands, I don't really expect to get any kind of after sales service, so it's always a little
Right.
bit of a risk there. But with
Yeah.
a big brand like Timex, I figure if you're going to get if they're going to sell you a watch with a Seagull movement in it, they probably have some kind of warranty and
Yeah.
a little bit more peace of mind about that's going to last for at least
Yeah.
that long.
They definitely they offer a warranty. I think it's probably a year or 2 years. I think it's probably a year. I don't recall exactly, but I'm sure that if anything goes wrong with it, they're servicing it, and if they're servicing it, they're going to probably just throw away the movement and put a new one
Yeah.
in. Uh, but I mean, that's either way, they will stand behind the watch. But Seagull have been getting better. I mean, I have
Yeah.
on my list, I have two watches with two Seagull movements in it, and
Okay.
a lot of there's been a lot of momentum behind Seagull, and they've been doing a lot more, better and better watches and movements. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. Cool. All right. What's number 2 on your list?
So, speaking of my number two, the Seagull movement, it's Merker, and that's the FOD.
Okay.
That is the
Yeah.
watch I'm actually wearing right now. I have
Oh,
it on,
cool.
yeah, I have it on an aftermarket. I think this is a Strapsco. I can't get it in there. There you go.
Yeah.
This is a
Oh,
Seagull
I like the blue and
chronograph.
orange. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's got the ST19.
Yeah. Nice. It's a gorgeous movement.
So now Merker, this is a really cool, like, funky 70s chronograph that has orange on the dial, and it's blue. It has applied indices. That ST19, which is a column wheel chronograph from Seagull, and a lot of watches that have this movement, they sort of display it in the back because it's not a bad looking movement. It's a good looking
Yeah.
movement. It's all machine finished, but the price that you can get these at, I mean, this watch, I believe Merker is selling it for like 229, but with discounts, and you could find discounts either from someplace like my channel, your channel, that people have reviewed Merkers in the past, they give $40 off, $50 off, so you can get this watch for around $179.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
killer deal.
hand wound column wheel chronograph for $179. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love seeing more and more of these watches coming out with that, particularly the ST19 movement. That's been
Yeah.
kind of a fun thing because, yeah, in the affordable section, you never would have been able to get a mechanical chronograph of any kind down, anywhere affordable. So
Yeah, just a few years ago. I mean, if your options were a quartz movement, and then recently mecha quartz, and
yeah,
now I think mecha quartz are great. I think they're really cool, um, and reliable because most of them are from Seiko, so you can get a really reliable movement in a quartz in a quartz chronograph. That's great. But it's something about hand winding the movement every day and looking at the
yeah,
seagull. I mean, even though it's a seagull movement, it's based off of a Venus, vintage Venus movement. So you have a column wheel. It's a lot of engagement. It's a different feeling when you're using this watch than say a quartz watch. Just
all right, cool. Okay, so you got a mechanical Timex and you got a mechanical uh, Merker
Merker.
FOD
Yeah,
chronograph. So you're
yeah.
up to what was your first one? 150, and the second was around 160-ish,
It's around this
200.
160, 170, depending on
Okay.
the discount that you can get.
So you're keeping well under our $200 average. If you want to average 1,000 watches,
Yes,
$1,000 for 5 watches, so you're
yes,
doing pretty good so far. Maybe
yes.
saving up for something coming.
Well,
Feel like
that
could
could be.
be.
It
Let's
could
see.
be.
Okay. All right. Let's see what you got for
The
number 3 then.
the number three is my I have the Zelos Swordfish 40.
Okay. That's a
So
cool one.
NH35, textured dial, sandwich dial, tons of lume, really great bracelet, and you have screwed links. You get milled clasp, milled end
Yeah.
links, drilled lugs. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. And color match date wheel.
Yeah.
Um, just an incredible watch for around. So if you get it on the pre-order price, I think I paid 279. Um,
Wow.
but if you buy it after the pre-order, I think it went up to 329. So
Yeah. Still, that's a great deal for all that they offer there.
that's it's 40 millimeters.
Yeah.
I think it's only 12 millimeters thick or 11 millimeters thick. I don't remember.
Nice.
It's pretty thin. It's got that little red triangle at the 12 o'clock on the bezel. So it's sort of a lot of people in the comments when I reviewed that watch likened it to the Black Bay 58 because it has that vintage loom. It looks it has the same proportions and that little red square or triangle. So it really looks good. And on the wrist, it looks amazing. It's a strap monster too.
Okay. I'm gonna take a quick break because people are saying I'm having some audio issues here. So let me see if I can fix this. Does this sound any better? Let me know if this sounds any better at all. Check, check. Audio test. Sorry to do this to you guys right now.
It sounds good to me.
Sounds good to you? Okay, let me grab a quick stand for this guy. And actually, maybe I can hook it up in here.
Yeah, I'll look at the. So let's see. So Daniel says the Hamilton day date equals Christmas.
A lot better. Okay. Let's go with this then.
So yeah, the Hamilton day date is an awesome watch, but I think that's probably a big chunk of our list. So that would be we're
Yeah.
trying to get in that sub $200 watch. Although it's tough because you could get a Hamilton day date under like 300 or 350 around there. But that's a pretty good Aragon. Aragon, yeah, they make some cool watches for $149. Actually, Junior, you were going to let me borrow yours. I never actually responded to you. I have to respond to you. I was going to review that. Khaki King for 375, definitely. The Khaki King's awesome, but again, 375 on the pricier side. If we're going to go with this specific list, still hearing a bit, but it's not too big of a deal. Oh, the audio. I think it's okay. I think from what I could hear, it's just that little, like a small clicking noise. Dave, you there? I don't know if you can hear me. Casio 5610 Square. Another watch that an honorable mention. Actually, I'm not going to go through my watches without Dave being on, but an honorable mention that I actually got from Dave's channel. So a while ago, he did a video about digital watches. I think it was like 10 digital watches. It's actually how I kind of discovered his channel. And he was going through one of them, and he was wearing a yellow Casio, and I believe it was, I think he paid like $100 for it. I think that's what he said. It was around $100 he paid for it. And then immediately when I saw that watch, I went online, I went to Amazon, and I was looking for a Casio, and I could not find any Casios anywhere online that were under $200, which was absolutely crazy. Pretty crazy how expensive some of these watches get. I mean, when you think about it, people are paying double money for a Rolex, but that's the same percentage increase on a Casio. Pretty crazy, but that's an honorable mention on my list because they've actually just released a few new Casios this week, and those are actually available. There's like a blue with a gray bezel that's for $110. You can actually still buy them, which is interesting. So, Dave, are you there? I think Dave is still having audio trouble. Hopefully, he will jump back on pretty soon. Yeah, Aragon used to be. Hey, Average Joe is here. What's up, guys? Yeah, Aragon used to be Android. Android, kind of a quirky brand, I think. They were sort of on the Shop NBC network all the time. Uh, but I've seen some of their dive watches, and they've put a lot of effort into making some really good looking dive watches, and I definitely want to check one of those out. SoCal Watch Reviews in the house. What's up again? What's up, Miguel? How's it going? Um, yeah, Aragon is definitely getting better. Racer, definitely. Oh, I think Dave just fell off. Yep. Well, hopefully he'll be joining back in. It's just me on his channel right now. This is awkward.
All right, that could have been dangerous. Just
Uh,
lost my channel to Chris here. Okay,
I
sorry
took
about
the
that,
reins. I
guys.
was like, all right, it's my
Yeah,
channel, guys.
this is one of those the good reason I have someone else on here. Otherwise, that would have really been awkward. So thanks for covering. Okay, I
You
think
sound much
I'm
better now. I
back.
don't hear
Okay.
any clicking. So.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so where were we?
So we were at Zelos, and I
Zelos,
was
that's
just
right.
talking about all the specs and the reason why I really I sort of had a love or hate relationship with Zelos, and I've talked about this on uh, a few different occasions, and I spoke about this on like the Friday live streams that I do with Rock the Watch and Average Joe and J City, um, where I talk about the fact that when I first originally I bought and sort of how I was watching videos of micro brand reviews and things like that, and kind of like what I think you described in one of your videos. You sort of were like interested in getting into making reviews on YouTube. You weren't sure, and you were looking at other reviews, and you were looking at reviews of micro brands and stuff like that. And I was doing the same thing, and I was looking at a review from someone who was reviewing a Zelos, and I was like, wow, this looks like an awesome watch. So I went out, I went on their website, and I bought a Zelos that was pretty good. I thought from all the reviews,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to come and it was going to be this amazing watch, and I got it, and I did not like it. It was sharp. There was like sharp edges everywhere. The bracelet was really not that good. The case was finished terribly. This was early on. This is probably, I don't know how many years ago. But I did a review. I did a review about it, and it was one of the first reviews that I put on my channel. And then eventually, I went back to the brand. I bought another watch. I bought another watch. I bought another watch, and then up until this Swordfish 40, there has not been a watch that I've gotten from Zelos that didn't have one quirk to it.
Yeah.
There's always been one quirk, and this was the first one, that Swordfish 40, that has no quirks. I think it's a perfect Zelos watch.
Yeah, it certainly seems like they've kind of been incrementally getting better than that. And the first Zelos I got was the titanium Swordfish, and I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
But I've been watching reviews of them for a long time, and yeah, I always notice that. It's like there's one weird thing about this one or that one, and same thing on the forums and things. The case back was too sharp. Or actually, the first video of yours that I saw was the one you did about the Swordfish V2, where the clasp was too short.
Right.
That's how I found you. I was like watching videos, and I was like, I have fairly large hands, so I'm like, well, it's not going to work for me. I can't. Yeah, if people can't fit it over their hands, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it certainly seems like so I've reviewed 2 of their watches now, and both of them, yeah, from quality control perspective and everything, they're pretty much flawless. And I love the new class that they have now. Yeah, the new Horizons. Yeah, I got that one. Yeah.
That looks beautiful. That looks like because I bought the Swordfish 40, and then I went and bought the Mako 3, which the Mako 3 has. Have you seen the Mako 3?
I've seen reviews of it, but not in the metal.
It has a clasp. The clasp is pretty rough on the outside.
Okay.
It's like very, very rough.
Yeah.
So that's the quirk with it, but I think that's my favorite Zelos, I think, because I think it's got all around great package. It's a great looking watch. That's just but I think that the Horizons would probably be Horizon would probably be my favorite. I've never actually had one, but I would love to review one.
Yeah, I really like the one that I got. I got the white frost version with the white bezel. And again, like quality control, everything, spot on. Love the clasp, bracelet. A lot of the colorways that they did on that one didn't quite sit with me too well. I think they did a lot of like light colored bezels and things. I like a little bit more contrast. So you don't mind, like on some of the previous Horizons, I think they did the 2 color bezels where it was like, dark on the top and light on the bottom. I think I would have preferred that. But some of the colorways are cool. Like I like this one. This is probably my favorite colorway is the frost one. And then the orange and gray one on the diver. I thought that one was really cool too.
Yeah,
that's the one I really liked.
They're good. I mean, I agree with you. Some of the colorways are a little bit, they wash out a little bit because he puts out like a light bezel. He'll put like he likes to put, and I say Elshan is the owner.
Basically, yeah.
He likes
Zelos
to put,
is Elshan.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to put like a bronze bezel and a bronze case, and it's sort of like, and then it sort of just like washes out a little bit. I don't like that, but it depends on what you like. I mean, I think they all look good, but that Swordfish, like you were saying, it has contrast. It has a beautiful sand dial. You can get it with different colored dials. It's really just a beautiful watch. Ceramic bezel, all the specs that you would get from a much more expensive watch in a really nice little package. Really nice. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool. All right, so I think we've got 3 of your watches down. Let's get to number 4. So far, everything has been either mechanical or automatic. No quartz yet.
No, I have
See
one
what we
quartz.
got.
We're going to get there. The Seiko 5 SNZH57, another watch that I have in my collection. That is the 55 fathoms watch that everybody. Okay, so that's the gilt version. So it has that gold. The numbering on the bezel is gold, and the actual indices are gold. I don't like the bracelet on it, so I have mine on a strap. It just looks like a Blancpain 50 fathoms, and I like that. Yeah. I've never modded mine. I love that it has a Hardlex bezel as well, and the Hardlex, Hardlex crystal is sort of beveled. It's just a good-looking watch. I mean, the movement, you get the 7. I think it's a 7S in there. It's not the most incredible, but it's an automatic, and you can get those for around $200, depending on where you're looking. So a really nice package, and I think a very interesting watch from Seiko, sort of like an homage from Seiko, which is weird,
Right? Yeah, they do a couple, but not too often. Actually, I've got one on my list of Seiko that I think would be considered an homage to another watch. So we'll see when we get there. But yeah, then the what they have I forget the numbers, but one of the other Seiko 5 divers, like pre-rebrand, kind of looks like a Submariner.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about. I don't know the number either.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers off the top of it, but yes, they've done a few. But yeah, most of the time they go kind of a little bit more original.
Yeah, and they make like a green version, and then they have a black version, and they have so they try and make it like their Kermit or whatever. And
right.
I get it. It's they
it's
do,
okay.
but it's not a direct. They don't really.
Yeah, no, it's not like.
But it's like sort of.
Yeah, you can see the inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, last one on your list. Let's see what you got.
The Victorinox Inox.
Okay, there you go.
The reason why I chose that is because first off, it's affordable. So you can get this on eBay right now. There's a seller that's selling them for $189. And he's been selling them for a very long time. I don't know the seller. This is not my cousin or something like that. It's just some guy on eBay, and he's selling them for $179. They're amazing watches that have gone through, torture tests, and they've done a lot of R&D and making sure the watch can go through all the different extremes and everything like that. And they're $179, $189. If you're buying them new, if you're going to like Macy's or a department store, yes, you'll pay $300, $400. But if you're smart and you look on, even Amazon has them for a good price. Just a really tough watch on a bracelet, stainless steel. I believe they're 200 meters water resistance. They're not divers, so this is like a really good everyday watch. They're a tad on the larger side, 43 millimeters, but I have a 7.5 inch wrist. I think your wrist is 7.5 inches.
Yeah, 7.5.
Also. So we both have big hands. I think it would look good on either of our wrists. It's a pretty decent size, but it's a nice looking watch.
It's kind of like a Swiss G-Shock, right?
Exactly. So you could beat the living crap out of it. It's definitely a daily beater that you could wear and use on a daily basis. And then I was talking while you had to jump off. My honorable mentions.
When I gave my channel away. Yeah.
When I took the reins, I was talking about I was going to just go through my 3 alternates. So the Q Timex, which is a quartz, the Q Timex, which you can get a Snoopy on it now. They have a Coke bezel, they have a Pepsi bezel, they have a Sprite bezel, they have all the different. Those come in at around $180, $179, somewhere around there. And then the Bull of a Hack,
nice,
which is I think a really cool watch, and that's around $250, somewhere around there, $250 to $300, but that's on the more expensive side, so that's why it's an alternate. And then then 2 more. I'm sorry, I know I'm long-winded here. Eterna. You mentioned vintage watches.
Yeah.
Eterna. I'm a huge Eterna fan. There are Eternas on eBay that you can get, vintage Eternas from a brand that has a very long history. You can get Kontikis. Not the vintage Kontikis, but ones that they've done in the 80s and 90s, quartz versions for $100, $200 easily. And then there's tons of other Eternas. You can get brand new Eternas for their classic line, which is a slimline dress watch for $189 on eBay.
Nice.
From trusted sellers, and these are really good watches that will come in an Eterna box, and they're beautiful watches. But their original MSRP was like $1,000, $1,500.
Right.
They're selling for $200.
Yeah. Now how old are they now? Like, are they from the 70s, 60s, older? Or?
Depending on what you're looking for. So you can get a vintage Eterna for pretty cheap. So we're talking under $200, $300. And those are, like I said, you can get their Kontiki line. They have classic lines and other lines that are quartz, but a lot of those are very, very cheap. And then brand new ones I'm talking about that have been liquidated they've been going through liquidations. And I always bring this up because they've been going through liquidation, so you can get their watches on like next to nothing, like 85% off on eBay right now, because some sellers that are buying these liquidated watches are selling them on eBay for pennies on the dollar. So you can get an Eterna, which I think, in my opinion, are pretty amazing watches. They're all Swiss made. And some of them are quartz, and you can get them for like $189. So
cool. Okay. So let's run down. So what you got for your 5 watches? You got the Timex, was the MK1.
Yes.
You got your Merker mechanical chronograph. You got your Zelos Swordfish diver.
Yes.
Got your Seiko Blanc Pons 50 fathoms homage kind of diver,
Yep.
and then your Victorinox.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a pretty beefy collection.
Yes.
I don't see any dress watches on there. Now that's interesting because I think you were telling me before that you work in a bank, and I would have thought maybe suits or something, dressing up a little bit more. But
yes, I do have dress watches, but I tend to gravitate towards dive watches is my favorite. But that MK1 or even the chronograph.
You could dress that up. Yeah,
these are I mean, it's not the thinnest watch, right? Because of that acrylic crystal. But the MK1 is actually pretty thin, and you could definitely dress that up and you wear it with a suit. Like I said, you take off that green strap, put on a leather strap. It's fine. Yeah,
probably. Cool. Yeah, no, that sounds like a pretty cool collection, and I like how it's kind of tailored towards this sort of stuff that you like and wear. I think sometimes I can be like, oh, you got to check off all the boxes. So I got to have a diver, a chronograph, dress watch, this. Seems like with what you've gone through is you've got a lot of stuff with lots of water resistance, can really take a daily beating. A little bit, some on the smaller side, but some on the larger side. Good range actually. So you going from the smallest is that Timex at 36, and then all up to what the Victorinox was like 43.
43.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good range. So they give you a lot of different sizes too.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. And what was the total value? Did you add everything up? Do you know how much that costs?
So that came in just under $1,000 if you go through the routes that I would go through to get them. So that means using eBay, using either Amazon, eBay, or using discount codes. So like the Timex, you would have to use a discount code. The Merker, you have to use a discount code.
Yeah, but if you can do it, and I think that's fair for this collection. I think this is kind of, I don't think we want to show necessarily, anybody who's watching this could go out right now and buy this collection for $1,000, because there's so many watches where the price fluctuates like that. And this is like, this is what at the time we were putting the collection together, we could have put something together like this, but things are going to change. And, I don't think we're necessarily recommending anybody go out and buy these exact 5 watches and you'll be happy for the rest of your life. Kind of give you guys some ideas about what's out there and how to put some of this together.
Yeah, and it's part of I think part of collecting is the fun of putting together the collection. So, finding the watch for the right price or the best price, I mean, that I think it's kind of fun for me as well.
Okay. All right, we're going to switch over and I'm going to give my 5 watch collection and jump through. So what I did for mine is I think it might be all of them I've just picked off of Japanese Amazon. So that's my big source. I live over here in Japan, so these prices are going to reflect what's available to me in Japan, which I think it kind of averages out to similar to what the States are. It's interesting. Some watches here will be cheaper. Particularly, I can find great deals on Orient watches here that it's maybe a little bit pricier in the States for some of them. But oddly enough, some of the Seiko watches that you find here are more expensive here than they are on Amazon. So I haven't quite figured out why all that is.
The prices for us from.
Yeah, I'm going to give them in roughly equivalent to US dollars. So, but yeah, these are all ones I sourced in yen. Okay, so let's see. I've got a little bit of a slideshow here. I'm going to try and switch this over for a second. So Chris is still here in the background, but I'm just gonna move over and put these over here. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I'm not sure what order these are going to come out with, but let's see what we got. Okay, so this is my first one. This is a Citizen Eco Drive Promaster Lland GMT. Now, one of the things I really want in any collection for me is I love having GMT watches because I live in Japan and I have friends and family back in the States, and I should just have it memorized by now. But like, for instance, they don't do daylight savings time here. They do it in most places in the States. I think everyone in the States has daylight savings time. So anyway, so that always throws me off. So I love having the ability to quickly look at my wrist and see what time it is back home, so I know I'm not going to wake up my brother or sister when I call them or something like that. This one is also kind of cool because it has the world time bezel, so you can use that to, like today. So I'm wearing, actually speaking of the Zelos, I'm wearing the Zelos Horizons with the GMT, with the 12-hour GMT bezel on that. And I love that because it's really easy using the bezel to switch the times and figure out what time it is in different places without having to adjust the actual GMT hand, because that can be a little bit of a pain sometimes switching it back and forth. But so like I have the Citizen Nighthawk, which also is a GMT, and that's probably the one I would have put on here, but the price on that seems to have shot up and it's harder to find. This one you can find on Japanese Amazon for right around $220. And I think it's a 200 meter water resistance. You're getting an actual GMT movement inside. It's eco drive, so it's solar powered. And this one comes in at 42 millimeters, which is really like the sweet spot for my wrist. So I love this size. And I just love the look of this one too. I think it's just a great kind of tough look, kind of, I don't know, kind of a little bit aviation, a little bit military look to it. But yeah, it seems like it would just be a great everyday GMT watch to have. So that is my first one.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the World Time bezel on there too, and the yellow GMT pointer.
Yeah, a little splash of color there.
A little bit of color. Looks great.
Yeah.
And these you say are around $200?
Yeah. So this one I can get around for 220 on here in Japan.
On Amazon.
Yeah, and I think it's actually fairly comparable in the States. I was looking for this one. I think this one came out last year or the year before, so it's a fairly new release from Citizen.
Citizen are great watches, and the Eco Drive is just incredible. As solar watches go, J City is a big solar watch guy.
Yeah.
They're awesome, and the functionality and the look of them, they look great, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it. That dial is a solar panel, and it doesn't look like it. It looks like a dial. It's awesome that the technology even exists. Yeah,
they do some pretty interesting dials and still manage to get away with that. The other thing I like about this one, so if it's anything like the Nighthawk, so this is the same line. The Nighthawk was in the Promaster line too. The Nighthawk had a great bracelet on it, so I'm assuming this is going to have a similar level of quality to the bracelet. So that's always nice. I feel like a lot of times with Seiko, you're kind of unsure what kind of bracelet you're going to get with it, but Citizen been pretty happy with.
It depends on the level of Seiko you're getting, because it could be pressed elements.
Right. Yeah, but I feel like in this $200 range from Seiko, you're kind of taking a little bit of a risk there.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump over to my next one. I got my first G-Shock this year, and I kind of got hooked on it. And this one I actually I used to own. Well, I do own this one. I have the pink version of this one. Let's see here. This one here, if you guys can see that. Is this going to start? And doesn't look like it's coming up anyway. Oh, there it goes. Oh. You see that? So there's so this is the one that I have, and this one I got it to do a test with my kids to see if they could destroy it, and my son succeeded. So I need to kind of replace it if I want to get this one again. But before he destroyed it, I got to test it and play with it, and it was just a really fun watch. It's really full featured. It has obviously the tide graph on it. So I live close to the ocean, so that's actually kind of a handy feature to have to know if it's going to be high tide or low tide. It's the only watch I've ever had with a moon phase on it, which is also kind of fun. And it's got world time. It's got timer, stopwatch, countdown timers, all that kind of stuff. So pretty cool there. And
very affordable. Those are what's the price on them?
This one's about $100, just a little bit under $100. And it's a G-Shock. So I won't say they're unbreakable because my son broke it. Right. But they're very close. He wound up taking a rock about this big and then throwing it over his head down on the watch. And he managed to crack the inner case a little bit and bend one of the buttons. But that one I took it and got one of those metal cases off of AliExpress and put it on and then gave it to him. So now that's his watch since he destroyed it, but we fixed it. But he's having fun with that.
What about the Casio? How do you feel about the Casio? I know I watched the video.
I have that one too. Yeah. Yeah, I really like that one. That's a fun daily watch. And it obviously take a beating and all that, but just for functionality and having just ease of use. So the digital part of that watch is really hard to read because it's so small and the hands get in the way a little bit. So I like just this is just such a feature focused watch. Like it's just so functional. It's it's easy to read. you've got a big digital readout. You easily swap through the different modes and see everything at a glance. Whereas the Casio it looks really cool and it's really tough. It'll handle anything. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a pain to use the analog digital part. Yeah.
Great looking.
Yeah.
Both of them are great looking watches. They're classic in their own right. The Casio is less classic. I think that the Square is classic. Yeah.
But it seems like Casio's been going with that sort of that sort of octagon shape more and more lately. Like they've, a lot of their new, the edifice line. There's a lot of edifices that are going on.
I think it's popular throughout the whole watch industry for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's kind of having a resurgence. All right, number 3 on my list. Okay, so we're going back to Orient, and this is my big spend right here. So first one was $220. Next one was about $100. This one, I think it retails for around $700. The cheapest I've seen it available in the States is Joma Shop has it for around $480. But here in Amazon Japan, you can regularly find them for around $350, and that's actually what I bought mine at. So I have this watch. It's a different colorway. I have the blue one, but they don't have the blue one available at that price right now. Right now, they have this one is available for $350. So yeah, so if I was like going out buying a collection right now at $1,000 and I wanted to get this watch in, this would be the one I'd be limited to. But this is maybe my favorite watch I have right now. It's I think it's a 41 millimeter size, if I remember correctly. Screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance. It's got Orient's slightly upgraded movement, so it's got a 50-hour power reserve in it. Just the standard, 6 ticks per second standard sweep, so similar to an NH35 there, but also has power reserve inside of it. Just really great watch.
I like the power reserve at the 12 o'clock position. Just looks like nice and balanced. I really like that.
Yeah. So this one, I think that's kind of becoming like one of the main features of all the Orient Star lines is they put power reserves on almost everything. And it's a fun complication. It's one you don't see very often, and it's nice actually having it on there. So that's one of the few watches I have that have a power reserve. So it's easy to tell, how much do I need to wind it? Is it getting low? And if it's like if you have it sitting in your watch box and somewhere where you can see, it's easy to know, I need to pick this up and wind it. And you can kind of, if you don't have a watch winder, it can be one way to keep that one ready and good to go. Obviously, sapphire crystal looms pretty good too. So pretty much everything you could hope for. And I think for $350, it's a great deal. So this was kind of my big spend. So and this is I don't actually have any micro brands on my list. I was trying to figure out if I was going to put one in, this is where it would be. I would have, there's I think a ton of great micro brands you can get in this $350 range. But just having owned this watch right now, this is again one that I like it so much. This is the one that I stuck in there.
It's really good looking. Is it DLC coated or PVD?
I'm not sure what this one. So mine was the one I have is the stainless steel version. So this is I think it's PVD, but I'm not 100% positive on this particular one.
It's very good looking.
Yeah, looks like Of the Essence of Time is asking about the dial. So I again, the only one I have had in person is the blue dial, which looks absolutely gorgeous. This one I think it looks like more of a matte, kind of dark gray dial. Shane at Relative Time, he reviewed the matte black dial. It looked pretty simple, but I think that's okay. The indices are they're applied, so they kind of look like they're painted on here, but they're actually applied indices, and it gives it kind of a cool little effect there.
Yeah, I agree with Essence of Time. Sometimes he's saying videos make it look cheap. Sometimes even with video, you can't actually get the essence of the watch, not to use the essence of time, but you can't really get that feel for the watch. It doesn't give you the full effect of what the dial is. So
I don't know if you can see it any better here, but
so I wouldn't know those
is out in sunlight.
Applied.
Yeah. I didn't at first. So you have to look really closely, but they are. Yeah, they have a little metal base and then the looms piled on top of that. So it's kind of a subtle effect, but it looks pretty cool.
I like the strap. It's a good looking watch.
The strap looks great. That's the one part that actually I don't like as much. It's not that comfortable. Okay. But the character of it matches it. It is a deployant clasp too. So actually the way I have mine kitted out now is I just put on a Horween leather strap and then put the deployant clasp over on that one.
They're owned by Seiko, right? Orient.
Okay, so I think Seiko and Orient are both owned by Epson, if I remember correctly.
Epson.
So they're not directly underneath each other; they're sister companies. So they both have the same parent company. So yeah, I don't know if they share any secrets, like if the loom here is Lumabrite or what. It's pretty decent loom though. Oops, there we go. Back to. Oh, here we go. Okay, so that's 3. Number 4, I get another Orient. Again, it's like especially since coming to Japan, I've kind of gotten hooked on Orient, just because like there's so many great deals that you can find here. So this one is the Kamasu, which for me, like if you're getting a affordable dive watch, it's really hard to beat this one. So this one, it's got sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, really good loom. Orient's Japanese in-house automatic movement, and you can get all that for, I think this one's right now it's $170 on the Japanese Amazon. So it's hard to pass that up.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not a huge dive watch guy. Like I like them, but it's not my favorite. I lean more towards like field watches or aviation pieces, kind of more just my style. But yeah, for dive watches, I really like the Kamasu. I think that's a really cool design that they have, and this gilt one's kind of a fun one too. But yeah, again, mostly it's for the value on this. I think at $170 to get a dive watch of this caliber, really your options at that price range are either getting something like this from Orient, or I think maybe going to AliExpress and getting something from maybe San Martin or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, I think I'd prefer to go with Orient and get that Japanese manufacturer and everything behind it.
I definitely would love to try out an Orient. I've actually never. I've
No.
held Orients before. I've never owned an Orient.
Yeah, I've been through a couple of them, but yeah, I think the Kamasu seems like just a great entry point. I know it's kind of a conversation. Seems like a lot of people are having now. Is Orient the new Seiko, where Seiko's kind of moved up market a little bit, and Orient now is just putting out some really great values.
Yeah, Seiko's definitely moved up market. They've been putting. I mean, they keep on upgrading their watches, but the prices keep going up and up and up. So they're definitely charging the consumer for anything that they've done to make their watches better. Does Orient have any of the same issues as Seiko does, where you have misaligned bezels or any of that stuff?
I haven't heard too much complaint about that. And I know at least the ones that I've had, I haven't had any with any quality control issues that I've noticed. So they seem to be pretty good on that front. But yeah, I'm not totally sure about a lot of their dive watches and things, how they've done with that.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously, I mean, Seiko have a lot of issues with bezel alignment and a bunch of other little quirky chapter ring alignments, bezel alignments, all that stuff, all that good stuff that everybody complains about. I'm one of the people, so I will complain about it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I love Seiko, so it's something that I will complain about, but I do love Seiko, I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's a good quality to have in a reviewer. You want to watch a reviewer who complains a lot, because that's what you need to see when you're thinking about buying a watch. That's one of my weaknesses. Is I'm like, I'm not that much of a perfectionist. So I'm like, it's a little off. That's fine. But yeah, probably doesn't help reviewing things.
No, but it's when you're paying. I tell the story about when I bought my Seiko Monster. I went to Macy's. No, excuse me. I think it was Macy's. I don't actually remember. I went to a department store and I was looking at the Seiko Monster, and I said, do you have a different one? The person was just like, why? I was like, there's a bezel misalignment. And they're like, a what? And I was just like, let me just see another one. They gave me another one. It was the same issue. I said, you have another one? And they're like, what? There's only one left. And they gave it to me, and it was the same issue. And I was like,
okay.
I was like, all right, I'll take it.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'll just live with it.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're at, so we have the Citizen,
Yeah, Citizen. What did we do? I can't even remember. Yeah, we had
Citizen, we
the
have two Orients.
Citizen, G-Shock, 2 Orients. Yeah.
G-Shock. Yep. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to G-Shock Square. Then we're going over to my last one, Finale, and this is where I'm going with the Seiko.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is the the SEP SUP 880.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, talking about Seiko homages, this is kind of like a Cartier tank homage.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of heavy inspiration there. I love that it's that it's doesn't have a second hand. Very dressy look, very classic. I kind of like square watches, and I don't really own any. So this is one that I've had on my radar for a long time. So eventually I'm probably going to pull the trigger on it. But I thought, again, if I'm building a 5-watch collection under $1,000, it's a good chance for me to at least pretend to add it to my collection. Because I love the way it looks. I love that it's solar powered. I love that it doesn't have a second hand. So, it kind of gets rid of the idea of it. You don't even notice that it's a quartz watch. And that's supposed to be, one of the hallmarks of a formal dress watch is that it doesn't have any complications, doesn't have a second hand. So it's kind of, and I thought that was really interesting that they made this a solar watch. I would have thought, dress watch like this, they would have just gone with just a normal battery powered quartz, but they went and packed in, solar power on top of it too, which, it makes it a really, really low maintenance watch. It's kind of thing like for me, I don't wear dress watches that often. It's like, the times when I do put on a suit or something like that, or maybe on Sunday or something, I'll put one on. Yeah. So it's nice to have something that's just ready to go. Like I don't have to wind it. If it's a mechanical dress watch, it's almost certainly going to be wound down by the time I need to get it. So I'll have to wind it, set it, and do all that. But something like this, it makes a lot of sense to have it battery powered, even to have it solar powered, so that it's just always going to be ready to go. Size on this one. So
that's my wife asking the question. What's that?
Oh, okay. She wanted. Yeah, no, it's small. Let me look that up real quick.
But usually, with a tank watch, you don't want it to be huge because then they'll wear enormous if this was like a 40 millimeter watch, it would wear absolutely enormous. So it's probably like a 34 or a 36 in that, so
they're listing it as 28.5 on Amazon.
Okay.
So what they're saying is that's a 28.5 millimeter case with a 22 millimeter band. So the band is almost the width of the case.
Right.
Yeah, which I think that's a cool look with square watches. You can kind of get away with that, where it almost looks like one kind of just integrated piece. It's not like, okay, you have a strap and then you have a big watch around it. It's just like this, the strap and the watch are almost all the same size and width, and it just all blends together.
And like we were saying before, this is definitely sort of an homage to the Cartier tank, but it has its own character. It's definitely a Seiko. So when you look at the dial, it has a little bit, it looks like a Seiko. You even have the crown with the little blue jewel in there, which is like, kind of like Cartier, but it looks good. I really like that. And how much does it retail for, you said?
So here in Japan, it's up to 140, but I've seen it for I think I've seen it for around 100 on U.S. Amazon before. Wow. So I think it's even cheaper there.
Dress watch for a pretty good price, and it's solar. That's great.
Yeah. So that would be my 5-watch collection. So I would go with, let's see, is this working here? Yeah, I can do this. So I'd go with the Seiko SUP 880 for my dress watch, Orient for dive watch, Kamasu, and with the gilt, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, you could kind of wear that to some dressy occasions too, and if you want to be a little flashy, get away with it. This would probably be my main everyday watch. With the Orient Star Sports Outdoor. Really enjoy that one. G-Shock for, either just weekends or anytime I'm going to the beach or doing something where I would be afraid to break any of my other watches. I love having that option to throw on my wrist for that. And then this would probably be another daily watch. So I might rotate daily, mostly between this one, the Orient, and the Kamasu would probably be my daily rotation, and then the G-Shock and the dress watch, depending on the occasion or needs.
I'll tell you what, I'm definitely gonna check out Orient. I'm gonna check out that Kamasu. I really like that. I think it's a really good looking watch, and you said for $175, sapphire crystal.
Yeah, on the that's on the rubber. So on the metal bracelet here, at least here in Japan, you can regularly find them for right around 200. and I think I've seen it for fairly similar in US. US might be up to like 250 depending on where it is, but yeah, for specs for the price and design, I think it's really hard to beat that.
I don't know how I've missed out on that. I've looked at everything, but
yeah. So the other one they had before they came out with the Kamasu, which was I think early this year or late last year, they came out with that one. Before that, they had the Mako and the Ray, and those have mineral crystals. But other than that, 200 meters water resistance, in-house movement, all that kind of stuff. And those ones now, at least on Amazon here, are like $120. You can find them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like they're basically directly competing with a lot of the AliExpress brands, but they're doing an in-house movement. They manufacture. I think they do some manufacturing overseas. Some of the stuff is manufactured in Japan, so you never know that. But yeah, but you're getting it from a Japanese brand with their level of quality control, warranties that you can be confident that they're going to work. So I think they're one of the few major brands out there that is actually really going head to head with some of these Chinese brands right now. So it's definitely a fun option to look at in the affordable range.
Taking the place of their counterpart, Seiko, at the lower
Right.
end, sort of.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was planned. Like, since they are both owned by the same parent company, maybe they decided, okay, let's keep Orient, kind of focusing on the affordable budget market, and we'll let Seiko move up market a little bit. Now Orient, they also have their Orient Star line. So this one's from the Orient Star line, which is kind of like the Seiko Presage. So the Star line, you get better stuff, for more money. Better movement. Yeah, better crystals. Yeah, and I think the power reserve is becoming more a feature of the Orient Star line. So the older model Orients, a lot of them, they would put the power reserve on those as well, but I think now they kind of reserve it just for the Orient Star.
Good looking watch.
Yeah. Okay, let's open this up for some comments for a little bit. I think I can highlight. Go ahead and give me some comments. Let me know you guys know what is your favorite watch that you guys saw today. Let's just see that first and see what everybody liked. We'll see if we can highlight some of those. And then maybe we'll also go least favorite too. If there's any watches that anybody absolutely hated, go ahead and comment that stuff now, and we'll get some of that posted. But as those comments are coming in, maybe we can transition a little bit. We were going to talk a little bit about just how YouTube affects watch collecting and that sort of thing. I want to switch over to you, Chris. How has starting a YouTube channel affected which watches you buy?
So I actually was watching a video of yours, and you were talking. I forget who you were talking to or what you were talking about. It was a while ago, and what you were saying was essentially that your collection is sort of different from the watches that you actually review on your channel, because when you're looking at a watch, you actually think about how it would actually look on your channel for your viewers. You're not really buying it or looking at it for yourself. You're actually thinking about how I want to present this to my channel, and will they like it? Not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the viewer of your channel. I found myself, and when you were saying that, I was like, wow, that is exactly, it's happening to me, and it happens to me pretty often, because sometimes I'll buy something and I'm not buying it because I like it. I'm buying it because I think my viewers will like it. Yeah. And then there's a flip side of that also, because of that, and I've actually bought watches and gone out and looked for watches and found watches that I've actually really liked, because I initially weren't buying them because I liked them. I liked them. I wanted to buy them because I thought they would be good for the channel.
Yeah.
So ironically, I end up liking the watch, which is great. That's a great thing.
It's a good way to discover. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something.
Watch your own review. Like, oh, that's a great review. I'm gonna get. I have it already. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So like the Merker that I was talking about, it was something that I was like, wow, this is a really great deal. It's a really great price. I really want to bring this, to the channel. And I got it in hand, and I was just like, this is an amazing watch for the price. I really love it. I guess that's something that happens when you have a YouTube channel and you're trying to bring all these new watches to your channel for people to really review, or to introduce them to, and you're reviewing them. That's what happens. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think for me it's two ways. One is definitely that. Like I think now, okay, if I'm going to buy a watch, a lot of times I want to buy something that I think is it something that people are going to be interested in? Is what are people want to see? What's kind of popular right now? Is it a new release that's coming out that I want to cover or something like that? So that's definitely had a big influence on which watches that I get. The other way that it's affected it is, I get watches for free to review a lot now, and that's really cool. Like I don't want to downplay this at all. This is definitely a positive. It's a good thing, but they're not always watches like. They're great watches, but they're not necessarily what I would have bought myself, right? Maybe I would have gotten a different colorway. Maybe that style is not something it just doesn't fit with me. The watch, I'll review it as a watch, whether it's something I think people will enjoy or not. But that doesn't always necessarily mean, okay, this is a watch that I love or I would have necessarily bought myself. So that comes in. But then the way it happens is, like, for instance, dive watches are probably the most popular micro brand watches. So I get sent a lot of dive watches. And there might be like a particular dive watch that I want, but I'm like, well, I've got 15 dive watches right now, and I actually really like a lot of them. And maybe it's not necessarily the one I would have bought myself, but I'd rather have one of these dive watches as being my main dive watch and use that, and I'll love it, and it gets the job done. And then I can spend my money on something else that that I want. So it's like, so I had like a list of dive watches I wanted to buy, but I'm like, well, that suddenly got way lower on my priority list because I already have a bunch of dive watches.
Right.
So it's kind of had that effect on it as well.
Yeah, it definitely affects it definitely does your, it does your collection some, I don't know how to express it really. It's just like, it changes the way you collect. It changes the way you look at your collection. And now it's being, your priorities sort of shift a little bit. But yes, it is nice to get free watches, which is definitely something that is, I appreciate it, and I really enjoy it. And you did a great video about, how does that affect your reviews and the rules around that and how you have to disclose it and everything. And I actually learned some stuff from that video. We did that sort of on our Friday chat as well with J City, Rock the Watch, and Average Joe. We sort of talked about that as well. It's important, I think, that the viewer knows that you were given the watch. So that's something definitely that is, it affects it. It can affect your opinion even if you don't realize it. So that's something you definitely need to let people know.
Yeah, I was watching your guys' discussion of that, and then I went and did research, and then I was like, oh yeah, okay, I need to. Because that changed my opinion of it too when I did the research. I think when I commented on your guys, I was still thinking, okay, I don't have to put the paid promotions thing up there, but I better double check that. And after it, I was like, okay, so this is a little bit more complicated than I thought.
So I have put the paid promotion thing up. I say that and I usually put it in the description below, and I say that it's given to me, and then I'll say it in the video, and just I'll just say, hey, this was given to me, and I just move on. But I don't know, there's so much, it's just so complicated, and eBay doesn't give you really any guidance, especially when you're a young channel. If you have 1,000 followers, this is something that you don't get any guidance on from eBay, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like they do that on
eBay,
purpose.
From
YouTube.
From YouTube, sorry. eBay is on my mind all the time.
Yeah, I feel like that's partially intentional. Like if they give specific advice, then they're going to be the ones liable for whether that's right or not. So I think if they leave it vague, then it's like, well, we kind of warned you, and so you're breaking the rules, so we can kind of do whatever we want, or it's not our fault. So I think that's a little bit of illegal hedging on their part.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's another interesting question. I haven't. I don't. Chris, have you ever been paid to?
No. I have been offered money, but I do not accept money, because that will. There's no way I could actually review a watch if someone's given me a watch and then they say, "Oh, here's $500 on top of it." I don't think I could be honest. So I can't accept cash or any sort of money. If you're giving me a watch, that's different, because honestly, creating a video it takes a lot of time and it takes
Yep.
money. It actually takes. I have equipment. I
Yep.
have, and my time is I have kids. I work full time, so that time is money. Also, it's time that I could be doing other things. So when I'm making that video, if someone gives me a a $200 watch or a $300 watch, if I were to turn around and sell that watch, I would probably get $100 for it and then
Yep.
pay fees on top of that. So at the end of the day, I'm really making nothing from that
Yep.
watch. So yes, I like getting the watch, and I don't sell the watches I get. I just some of them I
Yep.
do, and some of them I'll end up giving away, or give to friends, or I'll do a YouTube giveaway. But I won't accept money because it just isn't.
Yeah. So Andrew Shadowy is asking, how often are you allowed to keep the watches you review? I'd say most of the time now, most of the watches that I get in, that's more common to get them to say I can keep it than not. The exception would be if it's a prototype Kickstarter watch that needs to be sent around. So like, Kickstarter watches, a lot of times they'll make like 5 prototypes to send to reviewers. So that's not something that I would get to keep. But if it's from something that's already in production, I don't know if it's just easier for the brand to not have to worry about getting it sent back and manage that, or or if they're hoping that it's something that'll get featured in future videos, and so they let it stay. But yeah, I mean, I think so. Like with the free watches thing and coming in, like it's for me, it's a time thing, right? So it takes me like probably 6 or 7 hours to create a video, and so that in like a lot of these smaller watch brands, they're looking for exposure and they need it. But that the flip side of that is if I do a review of that watch, usually it's not going to get a lot of views, right? There's only going to be a limited amount of audience. It's a new watch. People don't know about it. Nobody's searching for it. Not as many people are interested. So there's a trade-off there. So I'm gonna be giving 7 to 8 hours of my time to produce a video that I know is not going to do as well as if I could have used that same time to produce different content. I could do a list video, or I could talk about some topic that's interesting to me, and I know those videos tend to get a lot more views than reviewing the watch. So I think it kind of helps to have some of that incentive to say, okay, yeah, I'm basically gonna give some of my time to review this watch, which is going to help that brand get some exposure. And, depending on if it's a good watch or not, it'll be good exposure or bad exposure, but that's kind of the chance that they play with it. But then it makes it easier for me to say, okay, so I'm willing to give, that 7 or 8 hours of my time. And at the end I get to keep the watch, which I, usually I'm only going to agree to review the watch if it's a watch I would be interested in myself. So yeah, so that kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of it. Whereas if I do 7 or 8 hours of my time to produce a video that gets hardly any views, and then it's like I don't feel as motivated to make that kind of content, and I probably would have gotten bored and stopped doing it a lot sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
And also just production, like you said, 7 or 8 hours, and that's because you have to take video of all the you have to do different just to make the video interesting, and then less people watch it. It's kind of like it's a tough situation. But for me, the question, how often I'm probably around 50%.
Yeah.
So probably around 50% of the watches that I'm sent are gifted to the channel. Maybe even less than that. It's only increased recently since I went over 5,000 subscribers. And now I'm closer to 7,000, a little over 7,000 now. So as that increases, I find that I'm being contacted more than I was in the past. So now people are like, today I just got 2 watches in the mail that I didn't even realize were coming. So, it's different because
it's fun though, right?
Yeah, it's great. I opened up my and I was like, oh look, two chronographs. This is great. But it's not how can I put it? It is nerve-wracking because when you receive a watch in the mail and it's something that you realize that is you may or may not have been expecting it. Now you have to create a video. It's
right.
It starts weighing on your mind, and it sits in your box of watches, and you're like, oh crap, I have to do that. I have to do that. And it becomes a job. It's not like it's no longer. It's not as fun as when you have a watch that you've bought. You know, you went to a store, you bought it, or like I was describing that Zelos, the Swordfish. I buy those watches. I wear it. I don't, the first thing I do with it, I don't unbox it. I put it on my wrist. I size it and I walk around with it. Whereas like the watches that I get for review that are, intentionally for review, even if they're loaned, I look at them as though they're work, because I now have to, I don't touch them until they're ready to be unboxed. That's the way it is.
Okay, Lure Frenzy's asking another question. How big are your guys' watch collections? Do you have keepers, or do you just consider every watch you own a collection? So this has been one of the hardest things for me. I have no idea what my watch collection is now. So I probably have in the house, I probably have close to 30 watches. But most of those are just sitting in boxes. So some of them I'll take out, so if I'm going to do a lume comparison, I want to find a comparable watch. So I'll go pull it out of the box. I'll set it up and shoot the lume comparison. I'll put it back in the box afterwards when I'm done with it. So I have a lot of watches like that. And then, that's just a matter of I have a lot of watches I really want to keep, but it's okay, I don't need that many watches. I don't have time to wear that many watches. So I feel for a personal collection, I think I would like it to be around 10 watches and say, oh, these are my 10 watches. But then even the challenge with that with YouTube, it's most of the time what I'm wearing is what I'm reviewing. So the watches in my personal collection, I hardly ever get to wear because instead I'm wearing and testing and trying out a watch that I'm reviewing. So it's just a totally different experience where rather than having these kind of, watches that are really mean something to me and I spend a lot of time with, it's kind of I'm just always wearing something different and testing something different, which is really fun. It's again, not knocking this at all. I know that a lot of people would just love to have that kind of an experience. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm really grateful to everybody who's been watching and subscribing and all that to make that possible. It's just a different kind of experience than what I was expecting or what a normal watch collecting experience would I think would be like. So that's kind of where I am with that right now. I don't know. How about you, Chris? How big is your collection, or do you know what your collection is?
I have somewhat of a core collection. A lot of those watches are watches that I've collected throughout the years because I've been collecting for many years. So I have Zach says Chris just buries the watches in his backyard. Very true, Zach. He's a funny guy. I have tons of watches. I don't even know the number. I got to be honest with you. I have a lot of watches, but there is a core set of watches that I will never sell, mostly because I bought them at an integral moment in my life, or they were either a gift or something that I bought for a specific reason during a specific time, like a birthday or something like that, or they were given to me by someone that is important to me or handed down to me. Yeah. That's it. So there's a lot of sentimental reasons why I keep my watches, and then there's reasons that I'll never be able to replace a certain watch, so I want to keep that for the rest of my life. And then there's a lot of other watches that I have bought for the channel, or I have just bought, in a collection because I like to buy. I'm sort of like shiny object and I buy it. And those watches are sort of the ones that fluctuate. I'll sell some, I'll buy some, I'll sell some, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Of the essence of time, I had a question up there. Do you ever hate a watch so bad you return it instead of reviewing it? I haven't. So a couple of times I've had people send in free watches that were broken. And in that case, I've contacted the company and let them know. And there's one of two ways that goes. Either they'll send me a replacement, or generally they'll just ask me to not do the review. And if it's a watch that someone sent in for free, I'll agree to that. I'm not gonna burn them for sending me a free watch that they wanted to have me review. I'll just say, okay, I'll just not review it. But yeah, if they want me to go ahead and go do the review, then I definitely have to mention, okay, so the first watch they sent me had problems. The second one that they sent me was okay. And so there is some of these issues and stuff out there. that I'm aware of. But for the most part, I'm pretty selective about what watches I'll review. So I do a pretty good amount of research before getting it, and if it looks like the price is too high, or it's not something that I personally would be interested in, or it just looks like a cheap watch that's not worth reviewing, I'll usually turn it down. So I haven't had that experience where I've gotten something and be like, okay, yeah, this is terrible, and I'm just going to send it back. Yeah, not personally had that one. I don't know. What about you, Chris?
I've had that. There's one watch that I'm not going to mention the brand because it's not even not something that I'm looking to. I don't want to ruin anybody's business or whatever, but I had a watch that came in and the functionality on the watch was kind of weird. It wasn't working correctly. At least I thought it wasn't. So I contacted them and they were like, and I sent them a video of, it was a quartz watch. And I was like, this is not working correctly. And they were just like, no, it's working correctly. That's how it's supposed to work. And I was like, oh, okay. No, I've handled thousands of watches. This is not how it's supposed to be working. This is not working as a chronograph.
You guys are pioneers in watchmaking.
Literally going backwards. It was like, that's not right. And they insisted that they want me to do the review, and I was just like, no, I'm just going to send it back to you. So, yeah.
Let's throw a couple of these ones up here. Do you have any watches in your collection that are not so accurate that you would like in their timekeeping? I don't know what the second part of that means, but watches that aren't so accurate.
Yeah, not non-accurate watches that we have in our collection that are not good at timekeeping, I guess.
Yeah. Most of the ones that I have are pretty accurate. Trying to think. I think
I have vintage watches. So vintage watches don't keep good time just naturally. So.
Yeah, I think the worst I've had is I've got a Seiko NH35 movement that was like 45 seconds off a day. So it's pretty bad. But that one seemed like it settled down. At first I was like, oh, this is terrible. But then I timed it again a couple months later and it was down to like 20 seconds. I was like, oh, okay. That's not too bad.
That's within tolerance. I think it's 30 seconds, right?
Right. Yeah, so now I'm back to normal. Thomas Meinhard, do you think there's a price range where value for money peaks exponentially? Why don't you start with that one, Chris?
So I think what you're saying is, I think for me, it's that $500 range. I think that you can get a pretty amazing watch at $500, where you can get something with a Swiss movement if that's what you're into, of course. You can get something that has all those specs, like those Zelos watches, but there's other watch brands out there. Like someone mentioned SWC, I think it was Average Joe Watch Reviews. You have an SWC as well, right?
Yeah, I got one.
Those are around $500. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah, right around 500.
And from what I've been able to see, they're pretty awesome watches. I've only handled one once or twice, but I've never actually owned one. I want to review one. I've asked them to review. They've never sent me one. I've been asking them a couple of times, but it looks like a great watch. I would really like to get one in hand, but something like that where you're getting, I don't know if they're Swiss made. They have a Swiss movement.
They are Swiss made.
They're Swiss made. So Swiss made, they're just good looking watches. They're tough watches and they're well made watches for $500. And there's a few brands out there that you can get that are around that area and like that. That really does go head to head with something from Longines or Hamilton or Certina or all these really great brands like Glycine and all those. That's sort of there with them. It's that $500 price range where you can get that Tissot C-Star 1000. All these watches that I'm mentioning, there's tons of watches down that $500 price range, and they're amazing. And the quality on those are as good as the quality on the $2,000 watches. So that's why it's.
Yeah, I think that 500 is kind of the peak for the value proposition. I think after that, as you start seeing some of those diminishing returns, and after that, like between 500 and 1,000, I feel like you're starting to pay more for the heritage. You're starting to pay more, maybe for the design as well. Like I've started to notice that more, especially with micro brands that are younger. Like the actual like aesthetics of the watch and the design of the watch and the balance of the components and stuff. They don't have as much experience with that yet. Whereas, a brand like Hamilton that's been doing it for hundreds of years now, or 100 years or whatever, they've had a long time to refine those designs and figure out stuff that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
And
think
then when
you
you get
get
into
that.
that above $1,000 range, and then you keep on going, it's the difference is so small that
Yeah.
you're not getting as much for your money.
Right, but incremental differences.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're running over our hour time, but let's get through a couple more questions and then wrap it up. Quick one here, Nighthawk. I love it. It's one of the first watch that I bought when I actually started researching watches and wanted to buy a watch for myself. Still have it. We'll probably always keep it. It's running great. Great daily watch. I'll let you answer this one. Chris, what's your personal preference, straps or bracelets?
I'm a bracelet guy, and then I always like to have a strap option. So I always want a bracelet on the watch if I can get one. If it's a dress watch, obviously that doesn't have to be. But if it's so I'm partial to dive watches, field watches, and then pilot's watches. Those are obviously I like tool watches. That's kind of like what I like. And if I can get a bracelet on it, that's pilot watch. Usually you want a strap, but a dive watch or a field watch, I'd like a bracelet, and then I like to have the strap option as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I always try and get it with the bracelet if I can, but I feel like a lot of times I don't wear it with the bracelet. Like I want to have the bracelet as an option, but then I'll swap it over to a leather strap or something, depending on what it is. The exception is if it's a metal bracelet that comes with, like the new Zelos, they have that clasp that you can adjust it on the fly. Mm-hmm. I just absolutely love that. So if it's a bracelet that has that, it's definitely going to stay with that on it. Yeah. I'll keep it on the bracelet with that clasp.
It depends on the time of year, I think.
Yeah, it's getting cold here. Yeah.
And when it's cold and you don't want to have an ice cold bracelet on, nice warm strap.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the interesting things about, I want to try it like what titanium does. It feels like it's not as cold as the steel bones that I've got. A little bit different. All right. Chris, do you consider your under 300 mechanical watches disposable, or do you get them repaired or regulated?
So I did a video a little while ago about how I do not service any of my watches. I wait until they actually stop working, and then I will actually then service them if they stop working, because I have so many watches. So for me, it's very hard question to answer because I very rarely get anything repaired or regulated. But it depends on the watch. It depends on how sentimental that watch is. So this watch was $100 and something. If this broke, I would try and get it repaired. If not, I would try and see if I can get a whole new movement put in. If it cost me $60, then fine. I wouldn't throw away the watch. I would either maybe give it to somebody or do something along those lines to see if anybody else would want it.
Yeah. I haven't gotten there yet. I literally started collecting, I think about 3 years ago. So I don't own any watch older than 3 years old. So everything, the movements are all still working great on those. Yeah, but that's something I'm kind of really thinking about. I think that's why another reason I think I'd prefer to have a smaller personal collection long term, just so I don't wind up having to get a watch serviced every month and just run up my costs way too much. But if I could have a small collection with a balance of quartz pieces and mechanical pieces, and the mechanical pieces being ones that I care enough about to either replace the movement or get it repaired or regulated or serviced, that's sort of where I want to be. I'm trying to figure out how to get there now.
Right.
Will I be a guest on the Friday night live stream? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Friday night
tough one for you, yeah.
That's Saturday morning here, so that's usually when I'm making pancakes for the kids.
All right.
Yeah, Friday night. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we do a Friday night live stream, and then we're there every Friday night. But you're waking up when we're logging on, so.
Yeah, a recommendation for a $200 quartz watch for Malaki's son's birthday. I guess he said not an automatic, so.
He's a typical
lazy teenager. Yeah.
I think our list of watches are pretty good. I mean, the G-Shock Square.
Yeah. I can't go wrong with that.
The Citizen, the Eco Drive, which is, if he's lazy, he never has to do anything with it. It's it's pretty easy.
Yeah, or like a I don't know, maybe like a Citizen chronograph. I think you get some EcoDrive chronographs for that. I feel like teenagers would probably like a chronograph, right? Some little flashy, little racy.
Yeah.
Or a G-Shock. You can't go wrong with a
The
G-Shock.
the G-Shock, the Victorinox Inox that I
Yeah,
have on my
Inox.
list.
Yeah, that's another good one.
That's like $189. That's a great little, and that's Swiss made. I forget.
Yeah, Victorinox. Yeah.
Swiss made.
Okay, trying to see. I think we busted through all the questions there. Okay. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for a close. So I'm sorry. I was going to do a little bit interview of Chris, but we got carried away with talking to comments and watches and everything. But I think we kind of got to know Chris a little bit through all this too. So we'll leave it at that, because the idea was to keep this going for an hour, and I think we're up to about an hour and a half now. So, so I don't want to keep Chris up too late. I got some other things I got to do today too. But Chris, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate
doing this. It's been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and I think the plan is we're going to try and do this again, where I'll come over on your channel and we'll talk about something different in the future. So when we figure that out, we'll let you guys know. But thanks to everyone for commenting and asking questions. This is a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll do this every once in a while going forward. We'll get some time to do some more live stuff. But with that,
a lot of fun. And if you guys have any ideas for the live stream when Dave comes on my channel, shoot me over some ideas.
Yeah, and make sure you go check out Chris's channel. So WatchChris, right?
Yes,
search WatchChris on YouTube.
Word, WatchChris, one word.
Yeah. Yeah. Find him, subscribe to him, and I'll be over there sometime. But that will wrap it up for today. Thanks for all the comments and for watching. Thanks, Chris, for joining me.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys later.
Bye.
All right. Bye.